Imagine being a child in a world where the very air you breathe seems to reject you. Every school door you knock on shuts in your face. Every street you walk on reminds you that society sees you as less than human. This was the childhood of Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, a boy born in 1891 in a tiny Mahar village in India, in a society that had built walls around people like him. His family was poor, marginalized, and looked down upon because of the caste he was born into. Yet, in the eyes of this young boy, the world was not just a place of cruelty, it was a challenge, a puzzle that he was determined to solve. Today, we are going to dive into the extraordinary journey of a man who turned the bitterest experiences of discrimination into a weapon of change, and whose vision still shapes India today.
Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar was born on April 14, 1891, in Mau, a small military cantonment in central India. His family belonged to the Mahar caste, a community considered untouchable in the rigid hierarchy of the caste system. Imagine being a child in a world where your very existence is treated as a sin, where touching water, entering a temple, or even sitting in the same room as someone from a higher caste could bring humiliation, not because of what you did, but simply because of who you were. From a very young age, Bhimrao understood the cruel realities of this system. When he went to school, the lessons weren't just about reading or writing. They were lessons in endurance. He was often denied a place inside the classroom. Instead, he had to sit outside while other children learned. Sometimes he was made to sit on the floor, far from the teacher, and was laughed at by classmates. Simple things like drinking water became a daily struggle. Public wells and ponds, where children of higher castes quenched their thirst freely, were forbidden to him. On one occasion, young Bhimrao was sent home for trying to fetch water from a well, facing not just rejection but public shame. These were moments that could break the spirit of any child, but not Bhimrao. He also faced mockery from teachers and classmates alike. Once, when he fell ill and could not attend school for days, returning to class meant facing sneers and insults. Yet instead of retreating, Bhimrao approached his studies with even more determination. He developed a habit of walking miles to school every day, carrying heavy books, studying under the dim glow of oil lamps at night, and never allowing the cruelty around him to extinguish his curiosity. Even his home was not free from the stigma of untouchability. His family had to live in segregated quarters, away from higher caste neighbors. Despite these hardships, his father, Ramji Sakpal, instilled in him the value of education and dignity. "Knowledge is your weapon," he would say. Bhimrao carried this lesson with him everywhere, using every insult, every denial, and every act of discrimination as fuel for his ambition. One particularly heartbreaking school incident stayed with him throughout his life. A new teacher refused to allow him to sit with the other children, demanding that he use a separate pot for water and even a separate slate to write on. Many children cried silently when facing such injustice, but Bhimrao silently vowed that one day no child would have to endure this humiliation. Each act of untouchability he faced planted a seed of resistance in his heart, a desire not only to rise above discrimination himself, but to fight for the rights of millions who had no voice. Despite the isolation and hardship, Bhimrao excelled academically. He became the first in his family to attend higher education, earning scholarships and recognition for his brilliance. But what made his journey extraordinary was not just his intelligence, it was his unbreakable spirit. Every hardship became a stepping stone, every insult a reminder of the work he needed to do. This was the beginning of the transformation of Bhimrao Sakpal, the boy from a marginalized community, into Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the architect of social justice in India. By the time he left his village to study in bigger cities, he was no longer just a boy facing discrimination. He was a young man with a vision to fight untouchability, to challenge the caste system, and to give a voice to the voiceless. These early experiences of cruelty and exclusion did not weaken him. They forged a resolve that would change the course of Indian history.
After overcoming unimaginable hardships in his early life, Bhimrao Ambedkar carried a quiet fire within him, the fire of knowledge, of curiosity, and of defiance against a society that told him he was less than human. While many would have been satisfied to simply survive, he sought to understand the world, to master it, and to use that mastery as a tool for justice. Ambedkar's brilliance in academics earned him a scholarship to study at Columbia University in New York, a place far removed from the small village in India where he was born. Imagine a young man stepping off a ship in 1913, arriving in a foreign land with a strange language, cold winters, and a society that looked at him with curiosity and sometimes suspicion. For someone who had been treated as untouchable back home, it was both exhilarating and intimidating. Yet Ambedkar did not flinch. He immersed himself in learning, studying economics, political science, and sociology, absorbing ideas that would shape his vision for India. At Columbia, he encountered professors and thinkers who introduced him to concepts of democracy, liberty, and equality in ways that expanded his mind. He wrote extensively on social reform and the plight of the oppressed, connecting his own experiences in India to the broader global struggle for human rights. Every lecture, every debate, every book he read was a building block, preparing him to return to India with ideas that would challenge centuries of injustice. But Ambedkar was not done yet. After Columbia, he pursued further studies at the London School of Economics, one of the most prestigious institutions in the world. In London, he lived in a city at the heart of the British Empire, surrounded by scholars, statesmen, and ideas of governance that shaped nations. He earned a doctorate, writing his thesis on the Indian caste system and social inequality, exposing the deep-rooted structures that kept millions in oppression. Picture him in dusty libraries, poring over books and debating fiercely with peers, a young man from a marginalized village now standing among the intellectual elite of the world. What made this journey remarkable was not just the degrees or the accolades, it was the vision he carried. Ambedkar never sought education for personal gain. Each essay he wrote, each lecture he attended, each paper he submitted was a step toward a larger goal: to return to India and fight for the rights of those who could not defend themselves. He understood that knowledge was power, and he was determined to wield it for the betterment of millions. Ambedkar's time abroad also exposed him to a world where equality was more than a dream. It was a principle, imperfect yet aspirational. He studied constitutions, labor laws, and social reforms, learning what could be applied to India's complex social landscape. He met global thinkers, absorbed their ideas, and adapted them to the Indian context. In essence, Ambedkar became not just a scholar, but a visionary, a man whose intellect could bridge worlds, connect cultures, and challenge oppressive systems. When he finally returned to India, he brought with him more than degrees. He brought ideas, strategies, and an unshakable resolve. He returned not merely as a man educated abroad, but as a revolutionary thinker, ready to confront centuries of caste-based discrimination and social injustice. The same boy who had been denied water and education now had the tools to rewrite the destiny of millions. This journey, from the dusty streets of Mao to the lecture halls of Columbia and London, is a story of courage, perseverance, and intellect. It's a story that speaks not only to India, but to the world, that no matter where you start, no obstacle is too great for a mind determined to rise. Ambedkar's education was not just personal success, it was the foundation of a movement, the blueprint for a nation striving toward equality. B.R. Ambedkar, lovingly known as Babasaheb,
lived a life that was not just a journey of personal success, but a powerful story of struggle, courage, and transformation that continues to inspire millions. Born on April 14, 1891, into a Dalit family in a society deeply divided by caste, young Bhimrao faced harsh discrimination from the very beginning. Imagine a child, bright and curious, yet forced to sit separately in school, denied water by teachers, and treated as untouchable. These early wounds could have broken his spirit, but instead they became the fire that shaped his destiny. With determination in his heart and a dream for dignity in his mind, he pursued education with unmatched dedication. He studied at prestigious institutions like Columbia University and the London School of Economics, proving that no barrier is stronger than the will to rise. But Babasaheb's journey was never just about personal achievement, it was about justice. He returned to India not to enjoy success, but to fight for those who were voiceless. He raised his voice against inequality, demanding rights, respect, and representation for the oppressed. His words carried pain, but also hope. His actions showed anger, but also deep compassion. He believed that education was the strongest weapon for change, often saying that knowledge could break the chains of oppression. When he became the chief architect of the Indian Constitution, he ensured that the values of equality, liberty, and fraternity were not just ideals, but rights protected by law. Through this, he gave a new identity and dignity to millions. Yet behind this great leader was a human being who endured loneliness, criticism, and constant struggle. There were moments when his efforts were misunderstood, when his fight seemed endless, and when the weight of injustice felt too heavy. But he never gave up. His resilience teaches us that real change requires patience, courage, and sacrifice. In the final phase of his life, his decision to embrace Buddhism was not just spiritual, it was a message of peace, equality, and self-respect. The life journey of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is a lesson for all of us. It teaches that no matter how difficult our circumstances are, we can rise above them with determination and purpose. It reminds us to stand against injustice, to value education, and to treat every human being with dignity. His story is not just history, it is a living inspiration, urging us to build a society where no one is judged by their birth, but by their character and actions. Babasaheb's life whispers to every heart, be fearless, be educated, and never stop fighting for what is right.